you realize how young he was to leave us, you know. And I think that was the day the whole world mourned. There was such an emptiness I think I felt for months after that.
Millions of fans believe Elvis never died. But now, a new scandal has reignited the rumor. And this time, Priscilla Presley is furious. It started like many viral stories do. One strange video, a few eyebrow-raising comments, and suddenly the internet exploded. YouTube sleuths, TikTok theorists, and Facebook groups that never quite let go of the past all came roaring back to life. At the center of the storm, a man named Pastor Bob Joyce. To some, he's just a charismatic church leader with a powerful voice. To others, he's Elvis Presley in disguise. The theory isn't new. It's been around for years, simmering quietly in corners of the web. But in the past few weeks, something changed. A clip from one of Pastor Bob's sermons went viral, and in it, some fans claim he slipped up, hinting at a past life that sounds eerily familiar. Suddenly, video breakdowns flooded YouTube, comment sections lit up. Old comparisons of Bob Joyce's voice and Elvis's classic vocals resurfaced. And just like that, the legend was reborn, again. But this time, it didn't go unnoticed by Elvis's family. Allegedly, Priscilla Presley isn't just brushing it off. According to close sources, she's deeply upset, calling the renewed rumor disrespectful, even painful. And Pastor Bob? Silent. No statement, no clarification, no attempt to calm the storm, which of course only poured fuel on the fire. Fans are divided. Some say it's obvious. The voice, the smile, the mysterious past. Others are outraged, saying it's time to let Elvis rest in peace. And somewhere in the middle is a grieving family, watching their loved one's memory get twisted into a viral conspiracy theory. So how did we even get here? Why has this bizarre theory stuck around for so long, and why does it keep coming back? Let's rewind to how this conspiracy started and why it just won't die. To understand this entire controversy, we have to start with one simple question. Who is Pastor Bob Joyce? Bob Joyce is a pastor at a small church in Arkansas. At first glance, he seems like any other preacher, devoted to his faith, passionate in his sermons, beloved by his congregation. But the moment he opens his mouth to sing, that's when things get strange. His voice, it's deep, powerful, unmistakably familiar. To Elvis fans, it's more than just a coincidence. It sounds almost identical to the King's, and for years that single similarity has been enough to launch 1,000 conspiracy videos. The theory goes like this. Elvis Presley faked his death in 1977 to escape the pressures of fame. Tired of the spotlight, addicted to prescription meds, and desperate for peace, he vanished, only to re-emerge years later under a new name. Bob Joyce, they say, is Elvis. Sounds wild, right? But for believers, the evidence stacks up quickly. Start with the voice. Dozens of YouTube channels have posted side-by-side comparisons of Elvis's classic ballads and Bob Joyce's gospel recordings. The tone, the vibrato, even the breathing patterns, shockingly similar. Then there's the appearance. While Bob is obviously older than Elvis was when he died, fans say his bone structure, eyes, and smile bear a striking resemblance. Add in the same jet black hair and dramatic stage presence during church performances, and people begin to wonder. Some even point to habits and phrases. Longtime Elvis fans say Bob Joyce occasionally slips up, using familiar expressions Elvis was known for, or moving in ways that feel too close for coincidence. Dig a little deeper and it gets more surreal. The two men share similar religious views, a deep love of gospel music, and an aversion to public appearances outside their controlled spaces. Bob Joyce notably avoids the mainstream press and declines almost all interviews. For conspiracy theorists, that's a red flag. And then there's the internet. A simple search for Bob Joyce Elvis reveals hundreds of thousands of results. Videos, blog posts, fan theories, and breakdowns. TikTok clips comparing old footage with new ones go viral regularly. Some comments read like worship, Elvis lives, he sings every Sunday. Others are more skeptical, begging people to stop chasing fantasy. But the obsession with Pastor Bob Joyce being Elvis isn't really about hard facts or evidence. It's emotional, deeply emotional. For many fans, and especially those who grew up during Elvis's golden era, this theory represents more than just a curious mystery. It's a lifeline to something they lost, to someone they're not ready to let go of. Elvis wasn't just a singer, he wasn't just a superstar. To millions, he was the icon of an era, the face of youth, rebellion, romance, and soul. His voice didn't just entertain, it touched hearts. His presence didn't just fill stadiums, it filled lives. And when he died at just 42, it felt like a cruel punch to the gut. Sudden, tragic, unfair. For many, it was hard to accept that someone so larger than life could be gone forever. So when whispers of what if began, some fans clung to it, not out of delusion, but out of hope. Hope that maybe Elvis didn't die alone, hurting and broken, that maybe he walked away from all the pressure, found peace, and chose a quiet life far from the flashing lights. And that's why the theory refuses to fade. Every few years it comes roaring back, triggered by a grainy photo, a vague sermon, or a voice that sounds just familiar enough. Bob Joyce doesn't confirm the rumors, but he doesn't deny them either. And in the world of internet mystery, that silence is louder than words. That little space between no and maybe is all it takes. It keeps the curiosity alive. It gives fans something to wonder about, something to feel. And in a world that often forgets, that emotional spark is what keeps the fire burning. Of course, there are facts that contradict the theory. Medical examiners confirmed Elvis's death. There was a body, a funeral, and decades of history built on that moment. Those closest to him, including Priscilla and Lisa Marie, have spoken openly about the pain of losing him. But for every confirmed fact, there's always a counter-theory. Some people believe the body that was buried wasn't really Elvis at all, that it was a carefully chosen look-alike. Others claim the family helped stage the entire thing, orchestrating his death to give him a way out of the spotlight. And once you start slipping down that rabbit hole, the usual rules of logic and evidence just stop applying. Facts get replaced by feelings, doubt becomes fuel, every contradiction becomes a clue, and that's exactly what makes this entire situation so tricky. For some, it's not just a lighthearted what if, it's a full-blown belief system, a deeply emotional one. And when that belief gets challenged or worse, reignited in the public eye, it doesn't just stay online. It touches real lives, real emotions, real grief. Which brings us right back to this latest scandal. Because while the internet buzzes with theories and proof, the Presley family is once again left to face the emotional aftermath and carry the weight of it all. And Priscilla? She's had enough. But things escalated when a new scandal brought Bob Joyce into the spotlight again. Just when the Bob Joyce conspiracy had started to fade from the spotlight, it exploded back into public view. All it took was one moment. One viral moment, and suddenly the internet was on fire again. It started with a sermon, a regular Sunday service at Bob Joyce's church. Nothing unusual, until a short clip from that day hit TikTok. In it, Bob gets emotional during a prayer. His voice trembles. He pauses. And then he says something that sent conspiracy forums into overdrive. The clip spread like wildfire. Some fans claimed he slipped up, saying something along the lines of, "When I left the world behind," and just like that, the rumors reignited. To many, that sounded like Elvis talking about faking his death. Within days, the video was everywhere. YouTube channels raced to upload breakdowns. TikTok creators started voice matching the sermon to classic Elvis songs. Comments flooded in. This is the proof we've been waiting for, and Elvis is speaking through Pastor Bob. Even mainstream news caught wind of it. A few outlets published headlines asking if the rumor had merit. And while most dismissed it as internet noise, the exposure brought new attention and fresh eyes to the Bob Joyce theory. That's when things really got heated. An old photo began circulating online. It showed Bob Joyce standing outside a gate that looked like Graceland's private entrance. Fans claimed the image was recent, and that Pastor Bob had been spotted near Elvis's old estate. Suddenly, speculation morphed into scandal. Some said it was proof that Bob was being let in by the Presley family. Others said it was staged, a cryptic message meant for those who know. Theories flew faster than anyone could verify them. But one person was not entertained. Priscilla Presley. According to sources close to the Presley family, Priscilla was livid, furious that Elvis's name was being dragged into another round of internet conspiracies. Reports say she sees the theory as deeply disrespectful, not just to Elvis, but to his legacy, to the pain his family went through, and to the fans who still mourn him. She's allegedly called the resurfaced rumor cruel, especially in the wake of Lisa Marie's recent passing. To her, these stories don't just stir up old wounds, they reopen them entirely. And let's be honest, Priscilla's spent decades trying to protect Elvis's image. She helped manage his estate, fought legal battles over his name and likeness, and raised Lisa Marie largely on her own. The Presley name means something to her. It's not just about fame, it's about family. So, when millions of people suddenly start claiming her late ex-husband is secretly alive, living under a different name, preaching sermons in Arkansas, you can see why she'd be angry. But here's the thing that makes this even messier. Pastor Bob Joyce has said nothing. No statement, no denial, no request for privacy, just silence. To some, that's the high road. Maybe he doesn't want to fuel the fire, maybe he's tired of being associated with someone he's not. But to others, especially the die-hard believers, that silence says everything. Because in the world of internet conspiracies, silence isn't denial. It's code. It's read between the lines. It's fuel for the believers. And so the rumor grows. Every week, more videos pop up. Some analyze Pastor Bob's sermons frame by frame. Others trace his background, looking for missing years or name changes. A few even claim to have insider info from former Elvis associates, though none have ever gone public. Even people who don't believe the theory can't stop watching. That's the thing about conspiracies. They're entertaining. They're emotional. They give people a way to feel connected to something bigger. And when it involves a legend like Elvis, the stakes feel even higher. But for Priscilla Presley, this isn't entertainment. It's personal. Every time this rumor goes viral, it drags her family's grief back into the spotlight. It chips away at the truth she's tried to preserve, and it keeps the wounds from ever fully healing. Think about it. Elvis didn't just die. He died young. He died struggling. He died with regrets, with addiction, with pain that the public never truly saw. To turn that into a "he's still alive" story, especially decades later, is to erase everything he went through. It's to ignore the real person behind the legend, the human being who loved, who lost, who suffered. And for Priscilla, that's unforgivable. Some fans say she's overreacting, others say she's just trying to hide the truth. But in reality, she's doing what anyone would do when their loved one's legacy gets twisted into tabloid content. She's protecting the man she once loved, the father of her child, the icon who shaped an entire era, not through mystery, but through music. So where does that leave us? We're stuck in the middle, between the silence of Pastor Bob, the fury of Priscilla, and the endless speculation of fans who want to believe. And the question isn't just whether Bob Joyce is Elvis, it's why this theory refuses to go away. Why, decades after his death, do people still need Elvis to be alive? Maybe it's nostalgia. Maybe it's denial. Or maybe deep down, we're not ready to say goodbye to someone who gave us so much. But before we answer that, we need to understand Priscilla's side of the story, because to truly grasp why this rumor hurts so deeply, we have to go back. Back to the beginning. For Priscilla Presley, this isn't just another bizarre rumor floating around the internet. It's personal, it's painful, and it keeps reopening a wound she spent decades trying to heal. From the moment Elvis died in 1977, Priscilla was thrust into a role she never asked for, the keeper of his legacy. She became the voice for his memory, the face that fans turned to for reassurance, and the steady hand behind Graceland's transformation into a shrine for the man they loved. She didn't just grieve in private. She had to mourn in front of the entire world. And over the years, she did everything she could to protect his story. Not the fairy tale version, but the truth. The real man, the one who struggled with fame, addiction, loneliness, and heartbreak. The one who, despite all that, gave everything he had to his music, his fans, and his family. So imagine what it feels like to watch people twist that story into something else. To suggest that he never died, that he left his family, faked his own death, and reinvented himself as a pastor in Arkansas. To fans, that might sound exciting, like an alternate ending to a sad story. But to Priscilla, it's devastating, because it denies the real pain Elvis went through. It brushes past the nights he couldn't sleep, the substances he used just to cope, the pressure that broke him down piece by piece. She's spoken about it before. In interviews, she's addressed the conspiracy theories, sometimes with a sigh, sometimes with frustration. She said it's ridiculous, that it's disrespectful, that Elvis deserves peace, but what she rarely says out loud is what we can all sense. It hurts. Because the more people cling to the fantasy, the more they erase the truth. And that truth matters, not just to history, but to the people who loved him. People like Lisa Marie. Elvis's only daughter adored her father. She lost him when she was just 9 years old. And even though she grew up in his shadow, she carried that loss for the rest of her life. Lisa Marie was always honest about the pain, about how fame twisted her childhood, about how grief shaped everything. So when these rumors resurface, the Bob Joyce videos, the voice comparisons, the secret sightings, it's not harmless curiosity. It's a slap in the face to those who lived through the real story. And now Lisa Marie is gone too. Her sudden death in 2023 was another brutal chapter for the Presley family. Priscilla lost a daughter. The world lost another link to Elvis. And just as the family was trying to grieve in peace, the conspiracy surged back to life. Think about that timing. While they were planning Lisa Marie's funeral, the internet was once again claiming Elvis never died, that he was alive and preaching in a small-town church. The emotional whiplash of that can't be overstated. For a grieving mother, that's more than just painful. It's infuriating. It's not just about correcting misinformation, it's about preserving dignity. For Elvis, for Lisa Marie, and for the family that's had to carry the weight of public obsession for half a century. It's easy to forget that behind all the headlines and rumors are real people. People who loved Elvis not as an icon, but as a man, a father, a husband, a complicated human being who battled demons most of us will never understand. So when Priscilla hears people say things like, he faked his death, or he's Pastor Bob now, it's not just eye-roll worthy, it's heartbreaking. Because it cheapens everything he went through. It turns his tragedy into a plot twist, a meme, a myth. And for someone who spent her life trying to honor his legacy, that's unbearable. For Priscilla, this isn't just another wild theory. It's a denial of the man she loved and lost. So why does this theory keep coming back? Why do so many fans want to believe that Elvis is still alive? Maybe it's because Elvis was more than just a singer. He was a symbol of a time, of youth, rebellion, heartbreak, and hope. Losing him felt like losing an era, and for some, that kind of loss is just too big to accept. The myth of Pastor Bob Joyce gives those fans something to hold on to. It offers comfort, a new chapter, a version of the story where Elvis didn't die in pain, where he found peace, found God, and walked away from the chaos to live quietly. But while that story might feel good to some, it hurts the people who knew the truth, the ones who loved him through the chaos, the ones who stayed. Because myths are powerful, but so is the truth. And the truth is, Elvis did die. He died too young, too burdened, too misunderstood, and pretending otherwise doesn't bring him back. It only clouds the legacy he left behind. So maybe the real question isn't, is Bob Joyce Elvis? Maybe the real question is this: is it love that keeps this theory alive, or is it denial? Either way, one thing's for sure. Elvis may be gone, but the fight over how he's remembered is far from over.